Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, January 19th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Triple C. The end of one presidency just hours away. The beginning of another set to begin. Tonight, under unprecedented security, the nation's capital on high alert. President Trump due to depart, Joe Biden set to be sworn in. More now from Karen Cava.
Outside the White House, a Marine stands guard, a sign Donald Trump is working in the Oval Office during the final hours of his presidency.
As I conclude my term as the 45th President of the United States, I stand before you truly proud of what we have achieved together.
President Trump is expected to issue more than 100 pardons and commutations. A source close to the process says dozens of the final acts of clemency were championed by criminal justice reform advocates.
Senate will come to order.
The Senate, meanwhile, holding confirmation hearings for Biden cabinet nominees, including two who will be key to the new administration's efforts to confront domestic extremism. Secretary of Homeland Security nominee Alejandro Mayorkas.
I will do everything I can to ensure that the tragic loss of life, the assault on law enforcement, will not happen again.
And Director of National Intelligence nominee Avril Haines.
When it comes to intelligence, there is simply no place for politics ever.
After a transition delayed by the Trump administration, Biden's administration will have no confirmed cabinet members by Inauguration Day.
I am concerned about this delay, and it's why, the Senate's going to need to move very quickly.
The president-elect today making a trip he's made many times before.
It's kind of emotional for me.
This time to take over the presidency. In Washington, Karen Cava, KPBS News.
12 Army National Guard members have been removed from inauguration duty. Defense officials said they were identified for questionable behavior during the security vetting process. The FBI has warned law enforcement about the possibility that right-wing fringe groups could pose as members of the National Guard. 25,000 troops have been called in to secure the city. On the eve of the inauguration, cities around the U.S. are reflecting on the now more than 400,000 American lives lost to COVID-19. In D.C., 400 lights illuminated the Lincoln Memorial's reflecting pool. President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris stopped to pay their respects.
To heal, we must remember. It's hard sometimes to remember. But that's how we heal. It's important to do that as a nation. That's why we're here today. Between sundown and dusk, let us shine the lights in the darkness along the sacred pool of reflection. Remember all whom we lost.
And here in San Diego, Balboa Park landmarks and the convention center will be lit up to memorialize the more than 2,100 lives lost to the virus in our county. It feels like freedom. That's how an older pair of San Diegans described getting the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. KPBS health reporter Taryn Mento introduces us to the seniors who jumped at the chance to get vaccinated since the county expanded eligibility to those 75 and older.
It was early this morning when Jeff He drove his parents to get their vaccination at the county's Petco Park super site. He says his 90-year-old father, Ling Xing He, and 88-year-old mother, Hui Ching Ying, were elated to get their shot.
It's been very, very difficult. So I felt when I was able to make an appointment, and I told them yesterday, they're so excited.
Speaking Mandarin that was translated by Jeff, Ling Xing says the vaccine will sort of give them their life back.
He was very, very happy and excited. And he also added, by the way, my both parents were scientists before. So he said that this vaccine is the most powerful weapon to fight a pandemic. And he said with this vaccine, they will feel free again.
They've skipped gatherings for the holidays and gone without seeing their families, friends, and even the neighbors in their apartment complex. Hui Qingying says she misses just being able to leave her home.
Since the pandemic started, they're restrained, they're limited, and they're not going out as much. And with this vaccination, she feels that they can go out again, enjoy life again, which is what they love to do.
The relief came with the county's Monday announcement that people 75 years and older could sign up at one of their sites. And the options are slowly increasing as Scripps Health announced it's vaccinating people 65 and older. But Chief Medical Officer Dr. Ghazala Sharif says they only had 6,800 doses available for the 80,000 eligible patients they messaged.
And within 2 hours, we'd already filled the 6,800 spots. So we realized that that's a small drop in the bucket, but every drop counts, and the faster we get those drops going, the faster we can get there.
Sharif says Scripps is waiting on another vaccine shipment today, but she says they won't know how many additional doses it contains that can be given to more patients.
Some people are not happy because the husband got it and the wife didn't, but I ask you to have a little bit of patience, the fact that we can get going as fast as we can, and that even if a single family member got one, that's better than nobody getting one.
Sharif says patients will be notified as more vaccine rolls in, but they aren't being told when the next shipment would be or how much. She asked patients not to call doctors because they don't have that information, but says if patients can get an appointment at a county site, they should take it. Taryn Mento, KPBS News.
And we have all the latest information on vaccines at kpbs.org. You can find the locations and links to make an appointment online. A reminder, healthcare workers, caregivers, and people over 75 are now eligible. California's Health and Human Services Secretary offered a glimmer of hope in the fight against coronavirus. Dr. Mark Gowley says the state did not see as big of a bump from the winter holidays as expected. While more than 23,000 cases were reported today, the positivity rate is down. Hospitalizations and ICU admissions have also decreased. As Daryl Forges reports, it appears to be a trend nationwide.
40 states showing a downward trend in COVID-19 cases, but the numbers continue to pile on. Almost 142,000 new cases and over 1,400 deaths reported on Monday. Johns Hopkins University reports the U.S. has added at least 1 million new cases every week since November 14th.
We are vaccinating people faster and faster. It's getting better and better.
New York City has reported an increase in the pace of administering vaccines, but is running into another big problem.
At the rate we are going, we will begin to run out on Thursday. This Thursday, 2 days from now. And we will have literally nothing left to give as of Friday.
In California, health officials telling medical providers not to administer Moderna vaccines from one particular lot after possible severe allergic reactions from some fewer than 10 people who received shots. More than 330,000 doses from the lot were distributed to 287 providers across the state.
If you have received this lot from Moderna and you did not have an adverse allergic or severe reaction during that observation period, you need not to worry.
I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
Dr. Gowley says no other adverse reactions were reported from the Moderna vaccine. The Scientific Safety Review Committee is meeting today to make a further determination. We have an important weather warning tonight as gusty winds begin to blow in, and with them concern over damage and power outages. Here's KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman.
Batten down the hatches, all right, because that's the only thing we can do right now.
Because of the high winds, by midday, the Valley Center Fire Protection District had already responded to a few calls for electric wires down and a fallen tree.
If there's a tree down on the road, we will work really hard to open up the road as quickly as possible, even before county roads can get there. Because usually in a situation like this, county roads will be overwhelmed.
All the wind is coming straight out of the east.
Battalion Chief and Fire Marshal Jim Davidson has been busy monitoring wind speeds and direction. He shot this video in Valley Center earlier today of dangerous road conditions with dust making it really hard for drivers to see.
It's the strangest weather I've seen in a long time.
Even though this storm is expected to bring some scattered rain showers, it's 65-mile-an-hour winds that fire crews are concerned about. And while interviewing Davidson, 1503, a brush fire call came in. But luckily, it ended up just being a small debris fire.
Even if you don't think you're in a wind-prone area, you're going to see high winds. And it's a dangerous situation. We never think it's going to be the tree in our neighborhood or it's never going to be our vehicle.
Here in Valley Center, right off Valley Center Road, the wind is whipping hard, as you can see here behind me. This area in Escondido, some of the places that will be hit the hardest, and people are just hoping that their power stays on.
Usually they will give us probably maybe an hour warning.
Janice Petras owns Act 2 consignments in downtown Escondido, while San Diego Gas and Electric has said they are not forecasting any power safety shutoffs due to the wind. That can always change.
I have a generator for my house. Don't have one for here yet, but they were hard to find the last time.
Her business is near a lot of restaurants that, when outdoor dining was allowed, put up these tents that could be blown away by the high winds. Meteorologists say gusts of 40 miles per hour will also hit the coastal areas.
And that's enough to cause even a large tree to topple over. So it's a dangerous situation with the wind.
High winds are also expected in the East County. Today, a big rig was pushed over on Interstate 8 near El Centro. The Highway Patrol ended up barring high-profile vehicles, including 18-wheelers and motorhomes, from driving in the area. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Your full weather forecast, including more chances for rain, is coming up. About a fifth of San Diego firefighters so far are opting out of receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says this comes even as the disease is spreading within the department.
The 191 firefighters opting out in San Diego mean the department has a higher vaccination rate than its counterpart in Los Angeles. But still, the virus is finding fire employees. As of Sunday, 14 people were in isolation because of a COVID-19 outbreak at a dispatch center. Fire Chief Colin Stowell says that outbreak is just as concerning as ones at fire stations.
We're very limited on our number of dispatchers, and for us to be able to still respond to all of the 911 calls, it's essential that our dispatch center stays healthy and able to process those calls.
Stowell himself took the vaccine and is due for his second dose on Thursday. He says the department has been actively promoting the science, showing the vaccines are safe and effective.
We need our folks healthy so that they can still staff fire stations every day and respond to the calls for the public in need. And so it's in our best interest to make sure that we can do whatever we can to keep them healthy.
Police are among those next in line to get vaccinated. A department spokesman says they don't know yet how many officers will also decline the vaccine, and so they don't have plans for what to do if that happens. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
On the first day of the Biden administration, we could see a swift and massive reversal on immigration policy. President-elect Joe Biden is laying out plans to unveil an immigration bill that could carve out an 8-year path to citizenship for 11 million people living in the U.S. without legal status. For recipients of Deferred Action of Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, the path would be streamlined, allowing them to apply for a green card immediately. The plan will be sent to Congress tomorrow. An estimated 7,000 to 8,000 people, mostly from Honduras, are hoping to reach the U.S. border. Guatemalan police and soldiers broke up a group of hundreds of migrants heading through that country to Mexico. Honduras has been battered by the pandemic and 2 major hurricanes, leaving thousands homeless. They're hoping to ask for asylum and enter the U.S. as in the years before the Trump administration. But there doesn't appear there will be any immediate change in policy. Last week, we told you about a Vons delivery driver who's about to be laid off and replaced with an independent contractor after the passage of Prop 22 last November. Now, KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler speaks with one of those independent contractors about the new arrangement.
Andrew has been driving full-time for DoorDash in North County for the past 2 years. He earns as much as $200 for a full day of work. We're not using Andrew's real name because he's still working for DoorDash and fears retaliation for speaking out. As a gig economy driver, he's given options for delivering food for different businesses. He enjoys the freedom of the job.
I do like the flexibility. You know, you can go work whenever you want. You know, if you need to take a day off, something comes up, you can do that without worrying at, you know, other jobs. Sometimes you call out, it's a big old hassle.
Around a year ago, as Vons began ramping up their use of the DoorDash app, he noticed that the opportunities being offered by the only grocery chain on the app didn't really stack up with the other jobs he was being offered. They had him traveling to areas far outside his own service area for as little as $10.25, which is supposed to cover the time driving to the destination and the gas costs.
On top of just the long distances, you also have to consider you go into the grocery store. You have to go get the order from them. Sometimes it's not fully ready. So sometimes you're waiting at the store for 15, 20 minutes. You finally get to your car, load it up, take another 5 to 10 minutes doing that. You know, drive, unload all the groceries, which can take another 5, 10, 15 minutes.
If he was sent outside of this service area, he would then have to spend time driving back there to be able to get another job. Andrew would reject these offers from Vons because it didn't make financial sense.
Now, if I see something come up from Vons, I don't even really give it a second look, and I just decline it.
As Vons began preparing to switch to the sole use of third-party delivery drivers last fall, it began to ramp up its use of DoorDash. And because Andrew was declining those jobs, he saw his acceptance rate plummet in the DoorDash app. This impacts what kind of jobs he's offered. He says this incentivizes some DoorDash drivers to take jobs that pay low, just so they can keep their acceptance rate up.
Every month, if all of your ratings are at a certain percentage, then it says, you know, you get priority in deliveries. It says you get the bigger deliveries.
In a statement, Vons said the move to third-party delivery companies like DoorDash will help it create a more efficient operation. Other companies besides Vons are now outsourcing work to third parties after the passage of Prop 22 in November, which granted legality to gig economy companies like Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash. Andrew doesn't think the proposition is bad per se. He's now guaranteed a minimum wage for hours he's actively delivering items. He just wishes that companies like Vons were willing to pay higher wages. Max Adler, KPBS News.
With sales plummeting to less than 5%, a popular San Diego restaurant chain has laid off more than 600 workers. Puesto has also been forced to temporarily cease operations. The chain has 3 locations in San Diego County, 2 in Orange County, and 2 in the Bay Area. The restaurant's employee count has dropped to just 20 workers.
They want an answer, kind of a timeline, like what do we think, when, but we have no idea.
Managing partner Eric Adler says he would like to see outdoor dining with some safety precautions. Plans to open a new Italian restaurant in La Jolla this year have additionally been put on hold, which means 100 more jobs cannot be filled. Those who make their living caring for elderly people have never had it easy, often doing back-breaking work for little pay. Then the pandemic hit. A caregiver at a local assisted living facility tells KPBS's Amita Sharma about the crushing emotional toll it has taken on her.
My name is Leah Farinas. I think being a caregiver is not a job, it's a calling, because you should have the heart and the passion to do the job, because we're dealing with residents who have some memory issues and they tend to be like repetitive, but now that there's COVID, it's very challenging and it's very scary, because you might never know when you are gonna get the virus. I am married. I have one child. He's 4 years old, so that also adds to my stress and anxiety, and I also have my mother-in-law at home. Sometimes you just say to yourself that, what if I don't go to work, and be safer at home? But then you have to do your job. I just, take a deep breath before I go to work and pray that and hope that, we are safe, the residents are safe. This pandemic has brought havoc, to everyone's life. It has brought so much loneliness, pain, and suffering to every resident. Sometimes when I go in to a resident's room, they would just cry, simply cry. And why are you crying? Are you sad? They would just say, I miss my family so much. I just give them hope that someday, you know, all this virus, the pandemic, everything will be over. I'm glad that a vaccine is coming. I hope it works. Too many people died from the virus. With this vaccine, I hope that it could eradicate, if not 100%, at least lessen the virus.
The winds are expected to subside, and it looks like we could be in for some more rain. Mark Mancuso has your forecast.
There's an old saying, you never trust an upper low, and this upper low has a lot of tricks up its sleeve. We'll have high winds continuing into Wednesday, locally damaging. There will be beneficial precipitation, and we'll see the heavier amounts in the mountains and across the lower deserts. And after this storm system, there's a cold weekend storm arriving, and there's another one coming behind it. So changes in the weather pattern are coming. High wind warnings are in effect right through Wednesday. And we're also looking at elevated fire risks through this evening. Red flag warnings out from Temecula northward up through Santa Clarita. Here in the mountains, we'll see snow. And it does look like above 5,000 feet, several inches will accumulate. Here's our forecast tonight. Oceanside 48, San Diego 55, Ramona 56, Mount Laguna 43. And it will be quite breezy to windy. And we'll show you the future radar too to show you the precipitation coming up around this upper low. Look at that. We'll see wet conditions developing up here in the mountains, and some of that precipitation will be in the form of snow up above 5,000 feet. Now during the day on Wednesday, quite a surge of moisture comes up to the lower deserts and into the southern parts of the mountains. Even along the coast there could be a few showers, but the bulk of the precipitation up here in the high country, lower deserts. Mountains could see over 2 inches of precipitation, and the lower deserts could see up to a ½ inch of rain. So that's significant. Temperatures milder. Tomorrow's highs the 70s, San Diego and Oceanside, a couple showers around here up in the mountains. Precipitation, Mount Laguna's at 54. And then on Thursday, the storm shifts. We'll start to dry it out, and we'll see seasonably mild conditions. But for the weekend, another cold storm is coming back at us. Inland areas, same scenario, cool and getting wet over the weekend. In the mountains, we'll be looking at some more snow over the weekend, probably getting down to 4,000 feet. And in the deserts, you could see a few showers on Sunday. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
For the first time in the nation's history, a woman will serve as Vice President of the United States. It will be a homecoming of sorts for Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, who graduated from the historically black Howard University just down the street from the White House. Nadia Romero takes us back to the campus.
The Black National Anthem bellows across Howard University, founded in 1867 for freed slaves. Graduate Vice President-elect Kamala Harris went back to the yard in July before the election.
You could do anything, and you didn't have to be confined by anyone else's idea of what it means to be black.
The first black Supreme Court Justice, Thurgood Marshall, went to Howard, attracting Harris and Howard University Director of Alumni Relations, Sharon Strange Lewis, to attend.
I always feel safe. I always feel like this is where I belong and where all my dreams are possible.
Howard is one of 107 historically black colleges and universities, or HBCUs, founded across the nation.
They were established and started by white abolitionists.
Marvin Burton is the first vice president of the D.C. National Pan-Hellenic Council, the umbrella organization for the Divine Nine, 9 historically black sororities and fraternities created to empower African Americans.
It had everything to do with the seriousness of World War I, the seriousness of social injustice that was happening, inequality that was happening.
Strange Lewis and Harris, both Alpha Kappa Alphas. Harris joined in 1986. She credits the organization's commitment to sisterhood, leadership, and community for inspiring her and countless others for decades.
We would go up to the mall and protest apartheid, and Howard has a long history and legacy of real student activism.
And that activism that began right here on Howard's campus helped mold her views and her path as a public servant, a path that will lead her to Inauguration Day.
We have children who are young and that they see the possibilities, and they are looking the same way my brother did when we were in elementary school and we saw Thurgood Marshall, and now we have students who see Harris.
From Howard University, I'm Nadia Romero.
And the Padres have added yet another frontline pitcher, and he's a hometown guy. They acquired El Cajon native and Grossmont College grad Joe Musgrove from the Pittsburgh Pirates. The right-hander had also pitched for the Houston Astros, winning a big game for them in the World Series. Musgrove is glad to be coming home, having grown up as a Padres fan, quite naturally. And here's another look at today's top stories. People aged 75 and older can now get the COVID-19 vaccine at any of San Diego County's vaccination sites. 2 seniors we spoke to at the Petco Park Super Site were overjoyed to get their shots today, saying it feels like freedom. Scripps Health also announced it is now vaccinating people 65 and older, and appointments are already filling up. You can find information at kpbs.org. And as the nation prepares to watch Joe Biden be sworn in tomorrow, 400,000 lights are being illuminated tonight at the Lincoln Memorial to remember those Americans who have died of COVID-19. Sadly, that is the grim new milestone of deaths. The president-elect, Joe Biden, along with his wife and Kamala Harris, stopped by to pay their respects. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.